Teddy, we don't have Frank this week. He is getting ready for his wedding. Um, Hopefully everything will go smoothly, right? I'm looking. We're waiting on the Zoom link, Frank, to go to your wedding next week.
Luckily, he
But
he did the intro now, so we don't have to wait for that from him. He's
yes,
very
okay. So let's
busy.
go. Let's go with the intro.
Let's do it.
That was good. Always fun, that intro. It's much better than what
Not
we had
having
before,
intro.
which not
Yeah.
having it. So this week, considering that we don't have the three of us, it's just the two of us, which is kind of a new format for us. It's nice to see you, Teddy. How are you?
I'm doing well, and this doesn't mean that Frank is gone from the pod. He's just like away preparing for the wedding for this episode, or maybe next episode too. But yeah, this different format. I feel good. I feel fine. It's nice sunny weather in New York City. I'm sure you know you're in the city, right?
I'm uptown. You're downtown. It
Yeah.
hasn't started raining yet. I'm looking out the window, so it's sunny as can be, which is I'm grateful for.
Hopefully, yeah, not today. I'm typically doing this morning routine now, going to the park for like 15 to 30 minutes, taking a coffee, just like clearing my mind. I love this time of the year. It's really helping me with my kind of mental state in general
So
as a founder.
Uh, so for those of us who are watching that don't know where Teddy lives, he lives in right near Bryant Park, which again, for those who haven't been to New York or haven't been to New York in a long time, Bryant Park is this gorgeous little, I don't know, like a
Park.
lawn park. It's
Yeah,
not
little
like what
park.
you would think of as a park, like Central Park, but it's in the center of the city, dead center
Yeah.
of between 5th and 6th on 40th and 42nd. And I've seen your post. It looks nice. I mean, I used to live in
Yeah.
Bryant Park.
I know, I
So
know. Just across the park, right?
I Bryant Park was my front yard, as I would
Yeah.
say. I
I think
can't
for
say
many
I'm
people, yeah, for many
uh,
people, it's like a very central place, Bryant Park. Even for me, like
mhm.
first time I came here, I think the bus stop was around Bryant Park. That was the first place. Took a coffee and we sat. A friend of mine and many people who are coming to the city, like everyone just like knows Bryant Park. It's very central, which means also very noisy, like at times. But I prefer going there very early in the morning. There's not a
When
lot
it's
of people.
quiet
Yeah,
or late at night. The secret is if you go, I mean, they close it,
they
but
close
if
it.
you
Yeah,
go like after 10 o'clock walking around it, it's really nice
it's
and,
really
and
nice.
idyllic. Um, so this week we were thinking about what we're going to talk about because, it's just the two of us. And I, I think we want to talk a little bit about figuring out teams when you're in your messy middle. Um, and we've discussed it before, but a little bit on that front, like what we're looking at, what we're looking for, and really just understanding, how to do this sort of co-founder dating process while you're going through it. So, for me, I've had a lot of time over the last few months to meet with people on like what to work on, either AI or roll ups in the finance side. And I'm curious, Teddy, from your side, how do you kind of like pick who's right, what's right, and so
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the perfect person or the right person, but it's like I have thoughts for sure, but I don't even know for myself. I've been trying to figure out a couple different sort of partnerships with different people over the last few years, even since like 2020, when I left the previous company. We were five co-founders. So I immediately after not even graduating college, I jumped into this uh, sort of project that eventually grew up in a larger company. Five of us, four of us stayed till the end of it. So I don't know much about the dating in that experience. It just happened. Met a friend. Well, it was sort of dating for a while, right? Because you are meeting this person, you're working on like experimental projects until
Hmm.
something takes off. So maybe from that experience, I met Alex, one of the co-founders, in our sort of introduction to internet class back in college, and we started chatting about different projects back then. We started working on one idea.
What
He
year was
invited
that?
one person. This is 2007.
Hmm.
Yeah, so he invited friend of his, or like kind of mutual friend, another colleague from the group. Then I invited another one, so we kind of became this uh, little uh, I don't know what's the right word, little team working on projects, but not like really officially building a company. We were just like exploring different ideas, which I think is the right way to do the the co-founder dating. And in that time, you're just like not limited by life circumstances, just like a student going through school, and you have all the time in the world and resources, and you're naive
Did
and you
you
can work on anything.
and did you think like when you guys were starting as a team, like, oh, we want to build the biggest company in the world, or we want to build this incredible product? It was more like we want to have fun. Like what I'm
Mm,
curious on that. Thinking of
yeah.
Teddy 2007, Teddy in college, Macedonia.
I think there's not a lot of difference between that Teddy and this one, because I always wanted to just hang out with these people who are also equally, if not more, passionate about building things. So we bonded over the idea of let's build this thing, let's build that thing, and we were building all sorts of different websites. And mobile was the early dawn of mobile. It was maybe 2009 now, moving forward, and we were just super excited to play on these new devices and just create things that weren't like live before. So yeah, it was mainly having fun without really having any grandiose visions or anything like that. It was just like let's see how this project goes. So on a project by project basis, and that's that's related to that experience, but also even now in the last 2 3 years, I think most of this, not official even dating, but just like meeting people, trying to figure out if you can work with them together. It's been mostly about here's a project, let's see if we can build something, if it makes sense, if there's interest. Those types of things, they kind of work for me. What
And
do you think about it?
I, I and it worked. I would say it worked. You're here now. You're in New York. You've built incredible things. So what I think about it is I'm I'm envious in a way because you guys are technical and you've been able to build these, products and things that you dream of. Not only you dream of them, but you build them yourselves. So it's, different from my end where I always have to find the technical team and sort of the technical support. What I also kind of like is through your projects that you've worked on, you and Alex have worked together on various projects. I mean, did
Yeah.
Pizza Unchained. So there's a nice continuity between having, a past success and continuing that team for a future success. I don't necessarily continue with the same team, regardless of if it was a success or failure. I have a hard time with that, and I don't know if that's because of my personality or the fact that um, it's I like to do different things. So I think there's a bunch of founders and you look at like things like the PayPal Mafia, they have the Stripe Mafia, less so the Stripe Mafia these days, but
Yeah.
let's say PayPal Mafia, Uber Mafia, but the OG one's PayPal Mafia. And they supported each other, they built similar projects together, and each project that one of the members of the PayPal member embarked upon, the other members either invested or worked very closely on or even co-founded together. Um, I don't necessarily have that same experience.
Can you share a little bit more about like your experiences? Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
one of the companies as an
yeah, yeah,
example.
yeah. So, and I know we've done this in the past, but not in this kind of detail, because it's usually the three of us, not the two of us, just the two of us. Uh, so I'll go back to the first major project that I worked on, which is actually not a tech company. It was a nonprofit called 4 and it was in high school. So it was 2006. I was 16 years old. and I wanted to do a concert, and I didn't know who to call. I didn't know who to talk to, and I didn't know how to put on a concert. So, or even do a nonprofit. So I kind of just asked around to people in my school, and I was lucky. I was privileged to go to a private school in Florida that had all the right connections to students. So I ended up, my fundraising director was one of the wealthiest kids in the school. My president of, or legal, was the president of the student body. I was, head of business development or whatever, executive director. And we kind of assembled this team from, if you imagine it like an American high school movie where you've got the geekiest kid, who I'm not actually the geekiest kid, I'm the geekiest business kid, but the geekiest kid I knew did our engineering and our tech and our website, which is still running today, kind of funny, fordrfor.org. And that's how I assembled the team. Was I said, who is going to be able to take each role and run with it, based on, at this point, is probably their personalities and their skill sets, and some of them obviously on their family background. And then, we ended up putting on a Kanye West concert. We ended up raising, a lot of money, to help the people affected by the conflict in Darfur. But that, I think, was burned in my memory and in my mind and in my training of how to recruit and how to, get a team around me. And I think I've used that in every single business that I've done since. And the ones that haven't worked, really the ones that haven't worked, where I've killed the business too early, was because I probably didn't recruit those type of people, who are experts in either being connected or experts on the technical side.
Do you miss the old Kanye, those times?
Absolutely. I mean, Kanye was a lot better of a person to be around.
Yeah.
um, yeah, less
But just
controversial.
Yeah, just like the energy from like those times, and I think that's what this is a slightly different topic. What school is good for when you are surrounded with these people. There's no like expectation. You said you're just like hiring them based on not hiring them, but like assembling the team based on their character, and you're in charge of this. This person
Yeah.
is in charge of that. It's like way easier. You don't have you like in your mind this grand vision of creating more concerts or any things like that. What was the big plan back then? Or
Well,
was
I mean,
there any?
yeah, so there was definitely a big plan.
Mm,
The big plan was that there was a genocide going in Sudan at the time, in Darfur. And if we could do a concert, do a series of events to raise awareness, then we could actually help from across the world in Florida, help people who are in Africa. Um, why not? Like, let's go and
yeah,
do it. We're young, but that doesn't mean we can't make a difference. We can't
yeah,
make a change in this world. And it's not making a change by just, getting on an interview and saying, we're going to go and do this. It was like, no, we're going to go get tens of thousands of kids to come to concerts, um, to learn about what's happening across the world, support with their money through ticket sales and awareness, and leave the concert wanting to do more. So that was consent. And like, I mean, you get a bunch of high school students in a room together, and you say you're going to put on a concert at an arena. Um, uh,
that
who's
sounds
going to
like a
say
lot of
no?
fun.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So, so like I look back on that, and that to me is the high watermark for like the things that I work on, and it always feels best the first time around, right? It's like that first team. You're like, that person could do anything. This
yeah.
person, and it was really cool having an office at 17 years old, 16 years old, um, and having we had a really nice, um, vibes in the office, and also we had to go to school too. So it was one of those experiences that for me, um, then, as I said, set the tone for everything going forward, of how I do businesses and how I recruit teams.
So does that mean that you were, and I can also share from my side what I'm looking for in a sense, but I'm sort of trying to find similar energy, which it's never going to happen, but then also you're trying to avoid certain types of people based on
Yes.
the people you've been dealing with, but then you're limiting your pool opportunities in the same time and the pool of like potential co-founders. Have you seen like any, I don't know, maybe pushing hard on pushing back on someone that you could have worked with, but you did not because of some
Red
experience with
flags.
similar, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
And not
absolutely.
not that red of a flag, but like slightly reddish. Maybe you can work around it, but because you had this terrible experience in the past, whether your first company or second or whatever, and you're trying to avoid these types of traits.
I mean, those people don't change. It's and some people do change. So I think you can be surprised, but for the most part, those traits don't go away. And the problem is those exact traits when you see them in a potential co-founder or team member, it'll remind you of that past experience that had with somebody who had those similar red flags. Like a concrete example could be the engineer who's willing to commit to coding something, and you get them all excited, and they're like, I'm on board, let's do it. You want to apply to YC, let's go. You get the app ready, you record the video with them, and the day before application, you're submitting the application, they say, look, I've got cold feet. I've got this fantastic job right now. They're paying me 250 a year. I don't want to do it. And then you think every time, okay, this engineer that did this to me, or this technical co-founder, or this business co-founder, whoever, doesn't matter. But in my case, that's where I've had the experience where they get the cold feet, and I've had lots of, even in this messy middle period, I've spoken to three or four people, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, I'd say like 10 plus people,
Probably more than
that
that. Yeah.
fit, that kind of fit that um, personality type.
Yeah, yeah. I know so many non-technical people who are burned out from working with developers for similar reasons that you just shared. But then it's really hard to work with these people because they're burned out. They're really not just picky, but they don't trust the whole process. And I had challenges working in my previous company, mostly with non-technical people, trying to convince them and show them that not every developer is the same, which was real challenge. But I know
How do
equally
you do
also like
that?
same amount. I'll tell you, developers who are like burned out from working with people who don't understand the technical side of things, and they either like push too much or they just overpromise to whatever external part, and then the whole team burns out because of those reasons. How do you deal with that? I mean, there are like different ways. The best is just to communicate and over communicate. Typically, that's been really helpful. Like you always make sure everything is transparent. You just like overshare. You have means of communication. I think communication solves it. Uh, yeah,
And do you say, I'll give you an example. Let's say we're working on something together. You say, look, I'm going to push this code on this date. You can track everything here in the GitHub. Or is it more of like, look, I'm working on it. Don't worry, we can talk about it, but let me stay focused. Because a lot of the times the business co-founder wants to check in every
yeah.
30 minutes or whatever, every hour. Like, so how are we doing on this? What's going on? When is this going to go live? What's the latest?
Yeah, that's frustrating for most developers. That type of like tempo because they typically need to focus more. But then like very good developers like uh, senior plus whatever 7+ years they've been through like a lot of things. They know how to handle this. They know how to establish the expectation. So you don't have to check in every day and just like push where we are with this. You'll feel like you're being updated constantly and you actually know what's going to happen. So that's like the difference between senior and less senior developer, just like expectation management.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's the same thing with on the business side.
Of
You have to
course.
trust. You have to trust that that person's going to raise the money, or that they're going to do the recruiting,
Yeah.
that they're going to manage that portion of the business in a way that they're supposed to. I mean, for me, in my experience, it's the reliance, the engineer or the engineering team, whatever, the co-founder that is building the product, or even the co-founders that are building the product, they have a trust in knowing that I'm going to raise the money, or that, I'm going to be able to sell the company if we can't figure things out, or I'm going to be able to recruit the sales team. And I mean, because obviously everybody's got clear boundaries. You can't expect, um, the CTO to also raise the money. And of course, this happens in some companies, but it's very rare. Or the
Yeah.
CTO to do recruiting, or um, it's usually CEO.
Yeah, it's fine to have like clear responsibilities, but again, also early stage, you can just cover multiple aspects of whatever of the business. I think the bottom line is also the work ethic. Basically, that's what really frustrates me. If you don't deliver on your promise, but I've seen that you've been putting in the work and you're communicating, even if you fail, it doesn't matter. That's a good person to work with. But if you just like over communicate and don't like, don't I mean, you deliver but barely deliver, but then you don't communicate, that's like kind of shady. So that proactiveness, proactivity, whatever the word is, when you like respond on time, make sure that we're in this, there are
Together.
these little things that you can tell whether this
Yes.
co-founder is good or bad. But again, going back to the original point, you have to have some sort of test project to work with someone in order to know whether you can build this long lasting business, this grandiose vision.
Yeah, and it's scary. I mean, because when you're in the messy middle, you really don't want to commit to somebody that doesn't want to do that.
It's wasting
And
time.
yep. And if you haven't worked with them before, it's hard to know, but usually you know pretty early on. I mean, even in my conversations, I've tried to pitch a bunch of people like, hey, let's work together on this, or like, let's go build this company together, or like throwing out to them, like, give me your idea and we'll run with your idea.
So that's interesting. Like, do you like typically go with your ideas and expect to find someone that to work on your ideas, or you're fine with like working on someone else's idea? How do you balance that?
I'm fine with working on somebody else's idea if
Mm,
I can actually put the effort into it and they want to put the effort into it. But it's got to be an exciting idea.
yeah.
It's like you know, case in point, there was the guy that I met with last week who I was chatting with about ideas. And I was like, what is an idea that you have? And he like just gave me an idea. I was like, this is what's getting me excited right now. I'm like, that idea also gets me excited because the guy is extremely competent. And then, we had another conversation and I realized, okay, not as excited about it. He's definitely wants to do it with somebody else. So I got less excited. And in fact, it's like depressing because afterwards you're like,
Yeah.
shit, I don't have a problem with somebody else's idea as long as, um, you know, we're equal in moving this thing together.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to see the commitment as well. True.
Yeah.
Cool.
Um, I mean, look, Gamma was my idea to set everything up and do a dinner. And the idea actually came from Z, my co-founder. And I said, let's go do it. I'll raise the money. I'll do this. Darfur, the concert, that was my idea. And then my team came up with a part of it. I mean, like once you have the co-founders and then the SPAC was my idea. And it morphed into what it became after getting the co-founders. So I don't like, again, if it's too I would say too far along, um, then it's too hard. Like I don't want to join and the person is like, okay, I'll give you 10% and join and let's go do this. Like, no.
Cool. Yeah. Go ahead.
So I mean, I think like I think the truth is with all of this stuff is you'll feel it when you'll know deep down inside when you feel it. And with all of us, Frank's not here, but I'm going to speak for him. Is we all have sort of a gut feeling of when you meet sort of the right team, and it takes
Yeah. A gut
bunch of
feeling
time.
is very like important thing if you're able to listen to. Uh,
Yeah,
it works, and it you build that skill with experience, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so I mean that's kind of my kind of view on how it works, recruiting teams and people. Um, yeah. what else? What else, Teddy? What else for this week?
Yeah, I think this was the main topic. I think we're way over that right now. What else for this week? I don't know. I think it's yeah, it's exciting time of the year. A lot of stuff ahead. Do we want to open up another topic, or we I think we can wrap it
I,
up.
I think we wrap it up. This is a quick one. We're missing
Yeah.
Frank. We'll have a guest next week. It's Frank's wedding. Everybody wish Frank um, happy, congrats, and yeah, I think it's good for now. But let's get a quote. So I guess do I need to come up with a quote, or
Yeah, I should have. Yeah. Sorry. Let me.
we're
What
a
kind
little
of
messy
quote are we
this week
looking
on it. We're a
for?
little we're a little messy this week.
Are we looking for like a marriage quote or like
Yeah, let's do a marriage quote, or like yeah, something like that.
marriage quotes? Find something fun. 66 happy marriage quotes that will inspire every couple. Okay, Frank, here's some
Actually, this is a
inspiration for
good
you.
marriage quote.
Oh, you found one? Cool. Go
Let's,
ahead.
well, we can do two. We can do
Hmm.
two. Just to give somebody your time is the biggest gift you can give.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah, this one is like very marriage specific. It says a happy marriage is a long conversation which always seems too short.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, looking forward to attending that marriage ceremony via Zoom. Frank, whenever you send it to us. We'll talk to everybody next week. This is a short one, but
See
this
you.
was a
Bye
lot of fun,
bye.
Teddy.